We are 6 days away from the midterm election. It's next Tuesday and it's big. It could change the power of Congress. It could also affect something as simple as the price of eggs. Here to remind us why our votes count is political science professor Dr. Lisa Bryant. Thanks for being here, Dr. Bryant.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So what advice do you have for new voters?
I would say probably the biggest thing for new voters to do, if you've never voted before, is familiarize yourself with what's going to be on the ballot. And so there are a couple easy ways to do that. You know, it can be overwhelming to get in the voting booth and see this long ballot and not know what everything is. So one nonpartisan website that students can go to is votersedge.org. And that's a nonpartisan website by the League of Women Voters. And you put your address in, and it will literally tell you every candidate that's going to be on the ballot, every ballot proposition, every ballot measure, so you can review them. And then it gives you sort of pros and cons about the different issues so people can have an informed decision.
Oh, wow, that sounds very convenient for new voters to gain a lot of information.
Everything's sort of right there in one package. It's nice.
That's perfect. So, and why is it so important for young people in particular to get involved in politics and to go out and vote?
Well, you know, if we think about how government works, right? Government reflects the people who have a voice and an input in government. So if you don't necessarily like the bills that government is passing, or you don't necessarily care for politicians that are in office and what their agenda is, the only way to have an impact on that and make a difference is to go out and vote, because politicians listen to the people who show up at the polls.
Definitely. And so what do you think we as young people or as college students should be looking for in measures?
Well, I think, you know, people have a lot of different interests. So there's a parks measure on the ballot. So maybe parks, you're interested in more parks in your part of town or your neighborhood. That might be something you're interested in. So you want to look at that. You might want to think there's a, you know, a get rid of daylight savings time measure on the ballot this year. So if you don't like setting your clock forward or backward, that's on the ballot. I think that ultimately you need to think about the politicians who are in office and if they're representing your interests best. And I mean, most of the time when we think about voting, we think about candidates. Issues are important too. But I really think students need to sit down and think about, you know, who's in office sets student loan interest rates, and think about jobs packages or how much you're paying in taxes. You know, all of these things matter even to young people, right? You're going to graduate and get a job and pay taxes, and all of that stuff makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much for your input. I appreciate you being here today.
Okay. Thank you for having me.